Testing, 1, 2, 3. Testing, 1, 2, 3. 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 5, 6, 7, 8. Hello, you guys. How you doing? This is Monty. I haven't done a podcast in a while, so we're probably going to have to see if we can get back into the swing of it. There's a few things going on, definitely. So how's everyone? I hope everyone's paying attention, and I hope your political ambitions or whatever are being realized in terms of what you want to see, or whatever. So, I know we have diverging viewpoints and such. So I guess the key point is to stay optimistic no matter what. When all is said and done, watch out for your own bottom line. Make sure your own family, your own household, your own business, your own personal affairs are looked after. No one's going to do it for you. So let's get right into today's session. Excuse the cars passing by. We're going to try to work with it as much as possible. So what's going on right now is we have a crypto sector, a crypto industry, and a traditional economy that seem to be merging on a lot of different fronts, and there seems to be almost like a confrontation in other areas. Now, what's happening is, Bitcoin particularly, the technology, the freedoms that it offers, the sovereignty, individual sovereignty that it gives you, these are juxtaposed against what the traditional economy is all about. When you talk about letting people take possession of their own their own money and being able to transact amongst each other. So a big truck is coming, so we're going to pause for a second. So as I was saying, Bitcoin offers us the freedoms of transacting with one another, bypassing the traditional financial institutions, the banks, the credit card companies and such. And they don't like that. Government agencies, a number of them, feel threatened, particularly when you view how well this traditional system has worked for them for so long. They don't want to give that up immediately. But see, a lot of them are realizing that there are advantages, actually. When you take a look at what blockchain has to offer, when you take a look at the ability to have a ledger that allows you to send monies back and forth at pretty much zero cost, and it's immutable, meaning that you can't change it and all that, those are some major advantages that our ecosystem has to offer. But on the other hand, the traditional players, the major banks, they don't want to give up their franchise or their monopoly right away. So a lot of capital is playing around in the crypto sector, and they're trying to figure out, as much as possible, how to take advantage of all of the pluses, while at the same time, they don't want to give up all of the ability to control and restrict and limit and discriminate and all of that. Those are some very effective tools that the traditional financial system has used for a long time. In the crypto industry, we don't care about limiting, restricting, discriminating, censoring. All those things go out the window. So let's get right into the meat of this. Now, for instance, hedge funds, okay? Major players in the economy. Major tool to counter the weaknesses in currencies, for instance. Now, what you're seeing is a lot of hedge funds were the go-to place for a lot of wealthy clients in the traditional space. Those wealthy clients, they, purchased with the assets that the hedge funds had to offer, and they paid hefty fines, but they got hefty returns. Well, right now, because of the economic environment causing people to pull back, and the performance of a lot of hedge funds, for instance, has declined substantially, they can't really compete as effectively. So what's happening is, particularly because of COVID and the lockdown, a lot of people are starting to look at the bottom line. They're starting to weigh performance, and they don't see the justification for paying those exorbitant fees that the hedge funds were charging when they can just invest in something like a Bitcoin, for instance, and get 200-300% annually, like we did in the Bitcoin space for the last 12 months, or the 8.9 million% increase since the inception of Bitcoin. Not to mention, Bitcoin is the world's best performing asset class overall for the last, at least, excuse the noise, for the last 10 years. So these are major considerations for wealthy clients in regards to hedge funds. Now, on the regulatory level, a lot of people in Washington are starting to realize, look, they boxed themselves into a corner. People need and want some alternative place to park funds to avoid the inflationary effects of massive money printing. The dollar more has been printed in the last 12 months than the previous 22 years or something. It's a ridiculous number. But the effects of the inflationary money printing and it's getting out of control. I was just listening to some prominent analysts today talk about how we've been exporting inflation into various developing markets, economies, countries for a long time by both sending our manufacturing overseas and requiring that the entire world denominate most of its debt and such in dollars. Well, we can't support that model going forward. It's not good for the United States. It's not working out very well for our partners. So, we have a dilemma. We are dependent upon the U.S. currency, the dollars, to be the reserve currency, while at the same time, we're not in the same position as we were when that model was working very well. Once upon a time, the United States bought a majority of the commodities, and we had more of an economic impact. We had more of an economic impact on the world in general. We don't. So we're carrying the burden of utilizing this system of dominant financial system, using the dollar as a reserve currency, when that model is becoming very outdated and is working against us. So now we have to take a look at how do we transition, from a situation where we have to support the dollar in a way that's ruining the value of the dollar, and it's causing our partners, overseas counterparts, to really shy away from participating in this system over the long run. So we got a few things to think about. Now, as I mentioned, there's good and bad news. Excuse the noise. We're getting away from the traffic, but we're getting more into windy areas. I try to speak up as much as possible. Anyway, in the crypto sector, we're seeing tens of billions of dollars. The last count, there's like $40 billion at least that's been pumped into the crypto space. We have a market value, the total cryptocurrency market capitalization is approximately 800, 900 billion, approximately. And it was a trillion point something just a week ago. And so I think we're starting to get a little bit more attention. Regulators are getting a little bit nervous in terms of what the implications are. Major wealth is coming into the space. We started being recognized as more legitimate. So now the question is, how do we both take advantage and how do we realize what we have? And just to make sure that we don't take it for granted in terms of what we accomplished. We've come a long way. Bitcoin has only been on the scene for 11 years, going on 12, and it's already roughly $1 trillion market cap, and it's already attracted wealth from the likes of Guggenheim. They have $300 billion in assets. PayPal is predicted to make $2 billion as a result of allowing their customers to trade Bitcoin on their platform. Hedge funds, Paul Tudor Jones, Bill, what is his name? I forget his name. It'll come to mind. But there's so many players. BlackRock made an announcement. They want to take advantage of Bitcoin futures, and they're getting applications supposedly approved as we speak. Their assets under management, BlackRock has $7.4 trillion in assets under management. MicroStrategy figured out how to turn a $4 billion investment into, they've invested, I don't know, originally it could have been $800 million. That's probably worth a couple of $1 billion at least right now. But yeah, the publicly traded companies are doing something very interesting. They're going to their corporations are going to their treasurers, and they're getting permission to invest in Bitcoin. They're putting Bitcoin on the balance sheet alongside the other assets that they control, these corporations. And this is allowing the performance of the stock and the financials of the companies to reflect the appreciation, this insane appreciation that Bitcoin has been known for. So you could actually be in a situation where your primary business is lagging, is not producing as much of an impact on your bottom line as your crypto or Bitcoin related investments. So I might invest in your company just so I can get exposure indirectly, like an ETF, to the Bitcoin holdings that you have. And believe it or not, MicroStrategy is using this approach. So BlackRock is invested in MicroStrategy to get exposure. Guggenheim, you name it. A number of companies are actually investing in crypto-related ventures also directly. Mining operations. Okay, we have Bitcoin miners who are performing very, very well because that's a direct play on the infrastructure. See, back in the day when people mined for gold and such, some people made money, a little bit of money off of actually investing in, finding and mining gold, and some people invested in some people made money off the picks and the shovels. So we have a situation just like that right now in the modern age, where you invest in the infrastructure of Bitcoin's infrastructure, the industry itself, the mining operation, the payment platforms, the you name it, whatever offshoot that is developed to support the Bitcoin ecosystem or the cryptocurrency ecosystem, that's a potential opportunity for you. So now a lot of investors are scrambling to take a look at the infrastructure in addition to the direct investment, in addition to the publicly traded companies who have purchased Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies in general. So these are some very very interesting plays that you want to look at as you compare what's happening in the traditional economy, which is going to be in a situation where we're going to have $1.9 trillion added to a $22 trillion balance sheet that's already ballooning, and that's not going to stop anytime soon. So the macro picture looks like we're going to have an excessive amount of inflation, which I have to publish more articles on. But go to my website, go to articles, and at some point you're going to be able to type in inflation and pull up some articles about inflation and where it's showing up. We're starting to see, I have to publish the articles, but we're starting to see inflation show up in various areas. Now, the Federal Reserve has been very good at hiding the inflationary impacts, or at least the numbers, for a long time. But they're not going to be able to keep this up very long. Consumers are going to be hard-pressed to come up with enough money to purchase the goods and services with a very, very weak dollar. So consumers are going to want to dump the dollars, lessen up on gold holdings, and put more into the cryptocurrency, specifically Bitcoin. So this is what you guys want to think about. What does your retirement portfolio look like? How much exposure do you have? Do you have 1 to 5% exposure to cryptocurrencies and Bitcoin? Or do you have zero? If you don't have 1 to 5%, then you can't get 300%, 400% return in a year, or the thousands of percent that some of us have gotten for like 6 or 7 years. So this is going to make a major, major impact on people's financial well-being over the long run. You know, what are you doing today to take advantage of tomorrow? So this is all about positioning yourself for tomorrow. So anyway, I can't cover all the areas that I want to cover. So we're just going to leave it there. But yeah, go to my website, click on articles, click on Bitcoin, cryptocurrencies category, or just click on economics and finance or something, or just browse around through the articles. Most of them are very, very good, I think, and most of them are very, very compelling. We're covering a wide range of topics, but we're trying to really merge what's happening in the Bitcoin ecosystem versus what's happening in the traditional finance space, traditional economy. And hopefully you can get a good education to make preparations for your family, your business going forward. So anyway, we're going to close out this this podcast and hopefully upload it. And we'll talk to you guys later. Take care and stay safe. Bye.